morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Good morning.
So here we are at the Orange train station today. We're here to talk about the Orange Gnats. We want to try to cover some history about black baseball in Orange County, Virginia. While there are a number of teams that existed throughout the history of Orange, in particular, it seems that the mighty Gnats were the team to beat. And so today we want to try to cover the ground that's missing in that segment of history. So let's start out by having introductions. So from left to right, if we could just have you state your name, the teams you played for, the positions that you played.
I'm Clarence Robinson. I played for the Orange Gnats. I'm very happy to have an opportunity today to recall some of the things that we were involved in. And I just thank God for this. My buddies here, just a few left. And that's what makes this precious, because we're leaving, you know. We're leaving the world to the young people.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Clarence Snead. I played for the Orange Gnats in Conway High School. I pitched for both teams. During the time that I got started with them, I think I was 13 years old. So we had a young team, but we all knew each other and we all grew up together.
All right, thank you, sir.
My name is Walter Chinware. I started really young. I was probably 10 or 11 when we organized. And I played for Orange Youngsters. I played for Orange Gnats. I played for Barbersville Giants and Grassland Tigers, Carver High School. I love baseball so much. I was probably one of the last ones to go down.
All right.
Howard Ware played for the Carver High School in the Orange Gnats. Started as a scorekeeper, bed boy before I made the team. But I am truly glad to be here to do the interview for the Orange Gnats.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Robinson, just to clarify, sir, what position did you play?
Left field, basically, and when Chin was somewhere, he had no business, I played first base. The left field was there. That's the position that they put me in.
And we just want to make sure we clarify for the record, as they say. But one of the things we want to talk about is people. And this is the icebreaker, the elephant in the room. And so amongst the many people that were affiliated with the baseball in those days was one fellow by the name of James Edward Washington. He was a local businessman, an entrepreneur, but he also was a baseball player. Yeah. He was the manager of the Gnats, but he also was the benefactor to many young people in the community. So if we could, let's talk about James Washington for a minute. Start anywhere.
Well, we owe this man, great debt of gratitude because, as you know, it was Jim Crow back there when we were young. And we were segregated, and had it not been for James Washington's innovation and trying to create something that would keep us out of trouble, we would probably not be here because we didn't have a lot to do. And thank God he realized that. And he worked diligently trying to keep us united and giving us something to do. So baseball is one thing. But we had a problem. We had a civic problem. We had a problem in the community where we were shut out of everything. I mean, there were few jobs where you could make a decent living. The old guys bear the blunt of that. I mean, they didn't make a lot of money. And recreation was just a word. So if you wasn't down at the dance hall, if you were at a baseball game, or if you didn't go to the movie theater, then that was just about it. So I think James Washington had the right idea when he came down in the community, and he spent a lot of his time. A lot of times we couldn't even afford baseballs or bats, and he would go in his pocket.
Well, one of the things, to your point, one of the things that comes up in the conversation about Mr. Washington is that he did use the proceeds from his business and reinvest them into the baseball team.
Right.
So how did that go in terms, you mentioned the uniforms. What were the uniforms like?
Well, it was another economic problem that we had. We didn't have any money. Money was just a word back there then.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Washington took the money that some of the proceeds that he had made from his taxi business, from the pool hall, and he invested in us. And I think that was a great thing that he did for us. And we were just young boys having to find something to do.
Mm-hmm.
And baseball was just not just baseball, but it was a social.
There you go.
It was a social problem that we were having, and he found the answer to our demise, because actually we didn't have anything else to do. We had a lot of energy, but we didn't know how to use it. So he brought us together, and he would come out over the ballpark and see that we practice. And sometimes we would go to a dance hall on Friday night or Saturday night, and he would come out and said, "Do you realize that you have a ball game tomorrow?"
Hello.
And I said, "Boy, this man trying to run my life." But then we looked at that, and we said, we better get on up the road there, because I want to play ball tomorrow.
Right.
He would take you out of that lineup, because he didn't think that you would be physically able to play baseball if you stayed in a dance hall all night.
Okay.
So
So how did the rest of you guys? What relationships did you have with Mr. Washington, though?
Seemed like I had a very, very good relationship with him. I don't know if he adopted me legally or not, but James always recognized me for some reason or another. There, I might have been the son he wanted. He had other children, but seemed like all the older people did me like that. I guess it could have been because I was Billy Ware's son, and he used to call me Little Billy sometimes when I was younger. But James actually, to run errands and stuff like that, I would be with him. He used to take us to, he worked for a contractor at J.P. Walters, and he would take us to Richmond to buy parts and stuff like that in his cabs. And James actually used his cabs. He wound up having 4 cabs. That's the way we traveled to the ball game. We traveled, let's see, 59 was the newest car he had. Then he got up to 61 or 60.
yeah, I remember that.
Remember that. And we would pay, he would go fill a tank up, and we would reimburse him for gas. That's all he charged us. And that was out of the gate proceeds we got from the game. But he was a gentleman, man. He a lot of wisdom he had in him too, Yes, indeed. And he was a confidence builder. He'd go there. He would come around in his cab. We had got started the game. He come back in. He said, "What score?" We were down by 2-3 runs. He said, "Ain't no 2 runs going to win this game." Something like that. And we could tear him up, boy. That was the motivation we needed. Yeah. So we went on.
So that's what you call a segue now, because at some point, how effective was he as a baseball manager?
He was motivated.
So he knew the X and O's pretty good there.
Yeah.
But he also financed us. I mean, I can remember we didn't, like Mother Robinson said, we didn't have money. And it used to be downtown athletic store in Charlottesville before Western Auto had a place where we could buy our baseball.
Yeah.
And James we would go to Charlottesville, and he would charge the ball so that we could play.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then, of course, people that took up the money from the gate receipt, we didn't get all that was taken up, but we got enough to pay back. And then plus we had to pay to use the park.
Yeah.
See, that John Porterfield Park, I don't know, a lot of people don't know, but John Porterfield left that park so that black and white could play on it.
Yeah.
But we couldn't practice on it. Now, when we practice ball, a lot of us practice down at the stockyard. And that's probably what made us so good, because, it had all these holes and dips down there. And once we got to play down, down at the ballpark, the ball took it too hard. But that's what James did for us,
Okay.
And what Brother Robinson was talking about, the baseball uniform, was the Murchison in the town.
Yeah.
Leggett, Man, Ruden, Seal,
Yeah.
Craftsman,
Yeah.
Spars,
Yeah.
Ron Pontiac. They bought the uniform for us, and we advertised their business on the back of our baseball suit.
Yeah.
But what James did for me was I can remember not only baseball, is that when I first job that I had going to Virginia Mill as the first black person in talk of the town, I never will forget the talk of the town. This was back in the 60s. You know, they were still electrocuting people, killing people down south. And a lot of people around the pool room said, man, I wouldn't go over there. See, I mean, because they had a lot of people from Madison, you know, that worked over at Virginia Mill. James Watson, I ain't scared of none of them.
That's right.
He said, what? He just called me Butterware. He would say, what time you got to be at work? I said, supposed to be at work supposed to be there at 7:30 from the interview. And he said, I'll come and pick you up in my cab. And for 2 weeks, James came down the house, picked me up down off Mill Street, carried me to work, and he came back and picked me up for 2 weeks. I mean, that was nice, you know. And when I walked into that plant, everybody looked, you know. But James he was a true trooper for us.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he did, and we would go around. We would make posters like we were gonna play a ball game, and we would have who we were playing, and we would take these signs, and the orange view would print the phone, but we would fill them out. We would go all through Gordonsville, Barbersville, all through Orange, and put these things on these telephone posts to let them know where the game was. Because we had on radio now to announce the games, you know.
That's right.
Sounds really sure.
Yeah.
So marketing at its best, huh?
And then also, for as the income, we sold hot dogs and we sold sodas and had a little concession stand over at the ballpark. And poor James would haul them sodas down to the ballpark. You just go up here, what's the place up here?
Son.
No, Thompson. We go up Thompson and get them. Yeah. And then he would bring that stuff to the ballpark for us.
Yeah.
And then think about it now. Now, if we played Saturday night, and if we were going away Sunday morning, then that means that we had to get all that stuff from the ballpark. Half of them would be gone, but James would be there too. We pick up all them balls because he got 2 cents on the deposit on the ball.
Yeah,
So we had to pick the balls up and load that stuff, and then put it in his car, and he would carry that stuff to his home.
And I asked you about this because he's somebody's father, somebody's husband.
Yeah,
he has a business to run. He has a job. He has all these things to do.
Yeah.
But yet he took the time to make baseball important.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he did.
Yeah.
He did a lot for us.
I mean, time will fail us to tell all that he actually meant to us.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just can't tell the whole story.
Yeah.
Because he was such an important factor in our, staying out of trouble, having something to do.
Yes, he did.
And he showed an interest in us. And, that's the primary thing. When people show you that they care. And that's what I think is lacking now with the young people. Somebody needs to just let them know you love them.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he was known everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere we went. I mean, all over the mountain, Charlottesville, North Garden, South Garden, even down Lynchburg, Ashland. Everybody knew James Watson because, like Walter said, that he drove a truck for J.P. Waters.
Right.
And J.P. Waters was one of the businessmen that went everywhere. And that's how we got to know a lot of these teams.
That's also, he will pick up on the team.
Yeah, in the area.
Go to.
Yes, he did.
And, and also, he had a business, taxi business.
Yes, he did.
And he entwined our relationship with the sports with his business because all of us had worked in the pool room.
But also the pool room business.
He had the pool room, and we would go down there to make some money, The guy shooting pool charged 10 cents a game. And we rack up a whole lot of money from 7 o'clock in the morning right down to 12 at night.
Sure did.
And also the taxi business, when the weather was bad, one day I couldn't get away from James because he lived at 4 from me inside that wall back there.
Yes, he did.
So I see him all the time. So when we have a blizzard or snow or something like that, well, his taxis was hard to get out. I was the man. I'd go out there and dig him out, ride shotgun with him, and he'd get stuck taking people home. We had to get him out. But, I mean, we were just close.
Well, again, that's his legacy. But one of the things about his legacy is that I heard this term, the boys. You know, he referred to his team as my boys.
That's right.
What is that all about?
Relationship.
I think relationship, and then he loved all of it.
Mm-hmm. It's almost like
we
a
were
parent.
much younger than them.
It's almost like a guardian. He's like a guardian.
We were kids. But just before, just to give kudos to the forerunners before James came was Joe Thurston and Henry Alexandra. They had that team. They started us before James got to us.
Okay.
Yeah, we were halfway organized when James picked us up.
Okay. One of the other things we talked about was the marketing of the team. And so as I did a little work, I looked at there's a special relationship between James Washington and a man by the name of Duff Green, the local newspaper editor and reporter. Every time I wanted to find out something about the Gnats, I was able to go to the Orange Review, and there's plenty of articles and photos about this team. So there's something special about this relationship. What can you say about the Orange County Review and Duff Green and how he covered the Gnats?
Duff always made it look good. Sometimes he inflated a little bit, but that's the way reporters do, the good side. But Duff and I really have a good relationship still. Duff was turned 91 or 2, and he invited me to his birthday party 2 years ago, I believe it was. He invited me this year. I didn't get ready to go. But he still, he remembers me. He knows me really well, though.
Well, one other thing about Duff, his father owned the Orange Review.
That's right.
And he was always out with his camera.
He was
Mine and you. He'd go out and he'd take everyone's pictures. And those pictures there were probably taken by Duff.
Those were.
And he was always out there, and he showed an interest in us, too. Because he was a professional. And
See, that was a good thing about Duff that back in those days, So he took the initiative to communicate with us and potentially come to the game. And he was genuine.
Always.
You could trust him.
He was. You could trust him.
And that's what made him so special for us as black kids in Orange County.
Was truly because he was interested in the youth, or was it the baseball connection, or a little bit of both?
I think he loved anybody that was an athlete. Because I've also seen him over at Woodbury when I won a couple championships. He was right there, and he made it special to let them know that this black guy don't want this tournament, But
So
he was genuine.
So
it looks like he used his platform, for
right.
good.
He was a journalist.
Yeah, he was a sports editor.
And
he was a sports
he was a
editor.
journalist, and whereas people were cutting us out of society, he bridged the gap.
Yeah.
And he gave credit where credit was due. So when we went over there and somebody come here, like Northeast Athletics from Washington, D.C., they had, dynamite players. I don't know why those guys didn't make professional. They'd come down here, and James Washington would step out and say, look, you ain't going to take no game away today.
That's right.
And the guy said, well, what you got, Brother Washington? Them boys. And they're going to beat you, too. We did.
We played a single game on Saturday night and a doubleheader on Sunday. Beat them all 3 of them.
And we put them up. We fed them. And those guys.
That's right.
Yeah, we got food and we got a place for them to stay.
Yeah.
We enjoyed beating them. And they couldn't believe it.
That's right.
They said, James, we were on the field one day practicing. And one guy from Northeast Athletics, I forget his name, but he said, James, we need to get them boys off the field so you can get the team out here. And he said, that is the team.
Yeah.
And they're going to beat you, too.
That was in Ashland.
That was Ashley.
That was
Ashley, yeah.
Came up here.
Yeah.
But they were good.
Ashland had a good team.
They were.
And that's
they were
when
good.
I told you.
I think that's when we were the youngsters one.
No.
What was the net?
Yeah, we're not.
Yeah,
But anyway, they came up here
I thought I
because I
turned
wasn't
this
playing
thing
at that time. I was doing the school and practice. And these old elder guys came and asked James, said, "When you gonna get these young boys off the field?"
Yeah.
James said, "Well, that is my team." And Arthur Jones struck out 19 that day.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
19
He
balls.
had a drop like Mitchell.
I know
We
he
call
did.
it drop. They call it curveball.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, it do a 1260 what the ball does. It go in, go down.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You swing it in the air half the time.
I'll never forget that.
Well, before we get off of the Orange County Review and Duff Green, one of the things I want to talk about is Porterfield Park. Part of the story in this black baseball is that people played wherever they lived, but you had the privilege of playing at Porterfield Park.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
Well, a man by the name of Hal Noah, he was
Town
on the
manager.
count. He was a town manager, and he had charge over the park. They would decide who would play at certain times. He had a schedule, and a lot of times we had to go by way of Mr. Noah. And James Washington used that position to put us in a place where we could play over there. And a lot of times they had pretty tough times sometimes over there for trying to schedule us. They had other teams that played over there too. But James he was a force. He would step up to the plate for us, and he trusted us, and he thought we could do anything.
Yeah,
He made you think.
I can remember going
did.
by Hal Noah's house
Yeah.
because they used to lock the gates
That's
going
right.
into the park.
Mm-hmm.
You used to go by to get the key to unlock it. And I forgot what we paid, $35 or $40.
$35.
$35
$35.
Yeah.
for the lights at night.
Yeah.
And they supposed to cut them off at 11 o'clock at night.
We had
And
a
sometimes we had trouble, man, because the game wouldn't be over.
Right.
The police be down there ready to cut the
Cut
lights
lights, yeah.
off.
Yes.
But you got good community support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so now we're going to get into something about the Gnats. Apparently, without a question, one of the biggest regional rivalries around here was a team called the Barbersville Giants versus the Orange Gnats, the mighty Gnats of Orange. It seems that Barbersville was the stronger, more mature team, more experienced team at the time.
Yeah.
But the references back to 1959. There's a game in 1959 that they say is the first time that the Gnats beat the Giants. I don't know if you remember that game, but they said that there was a fellow by the name of Mac Davis pitching for the other team, for the Giants team, and a young fellow by the name of Metris Merle pitching for the mighty Gnats. If anybody remembers that game, can you give us something about that?
We would often have pitching duels
Yeah.
where we had our ace,
Yeah.
Metro was one of them, and we would put them up against anybody.
Yeah.
And I think Bernard Watkins, and Froggy, and people like Gerald Stocks were going out, but he played with us for a little while. And some of the old guys they were pretty good, but we would have pitching duel. But those guys would just pitch almost no hitters, and it was just routine for them. But Mac Davis was a very serious ball player. He took the game serious.
But really and truly, Mac
He
Davis,
came to play.
although he was a very, very good pitcher, but he had a advantage over us. Because we always had a problem getting umpire. So Mac Davis, he umpired the game for us.
Yeah,
So he pretty much knew what our weaknesses were.
yeah.
And he was a pitcher. So he really had a advantage over us.
Sound like a conflict of interest.
Really, but that's the way
take
it
over
was.
here.
Because it was hard to get up.
That's like stealing base signs, right?
A decent improv. And we had that same problem even going over the mountain playing ball. You know, people, they did a whole lot of stuff, man, to win the game.
We were so good, actually. We were
We
good.
gave to them.
That's right. If conflict come up there, the question about it, we gave it to them. We knew we were going to beat them anyway. So, to keep the game going, that's what we did.
Well,
So very often.
I had 7, it was 7 brothers. My siblings and I were all 7. But we had 5 on the team at one time.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
we were forced to deal with 2.
So the
Because
Robinsons-
if we would make a mistake, it was hard to live it down because my daddy was a baseball enthusiast. And if you stand up there and the man get a 3 and 2 on you, and you stand up there trying to wait for a perfect ball to hit, when he threw that ball back there and it struck you out and you didn't swing,
It's this way.
he said, "How stupid can you get? If you swing, you got a possibility you might hit, but you're gonna
That's
stand
right.
there and watch
That's
the
right.
ball."
Look at how I was doing that last night. Man,
Call
son
you
of a-
out.
Now this is
And
your father,
he would
right?
never let you forget that.
This is your father.
Yeah. We'd walk the street, man, until he went to sleep before we went to bed. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
When you walk in the house, the first thing he said, "Boy, you know most about baseballs I know about flying an airplane. You don't stand there and watch a ball go
That's
by
right.
and the man calls you out. I'd rather see you strike out than to be
Yes,
called out."
That's the way it was.
What?
So, you know, you get branded too. My dad was a pitcher, so
Mhm.
automatically they thought I could pitch.
Yeah.
I want to play ball.
My dad was one of the best pitchers that ever put his hand on the ball in
Yes, sir.
Orange County.
That's right.
He was bad.
Well,
That's
let's
right.
talk about the Gnats team for a minute. On the screen, you see the photo there. This comes from the Orange County Review. It's the seminal photo of one of the Gnats teams, right? And it seemed to have a bunch of people there. I don't know if you're familiar with that, with Moses Humes in the middle. But talk about that generation of Gnats. Who were the players on this team when you guys played? And who were the stars? And what were the big highlights? What were the big games? What are the big rivals? Just talk about your generation of Gnats for a minute.
You had guys that played on that team that, you know, I still think today that they could have been professional baseball players if
Yeah.
they had the time.
Yeah.
Take a guy like Robert Terrell,
Yeah.
heck of an athlete.
Zeke was there.
Zeke,
Zeke
He was
Walker,
there for
even
tryout.
Joe
Well,
Chin here. All these
my
guys
brother
could
Charles.
have played professional baseball.
Yeah.
But, you know, back in the times, you just didn't get the recognition. But had a lot of great athletes on that team.
that
there.
picture right there is actually probably in the 60s, early 60s. We had
Yeah.
big guns like Charles Hughes and Snoops.
Yeah.
Many,
Zeke,
Zeke.
Charles, my brother.
Yeah, that's right. All those
Right
guys were before us. Yeah, Gilbert, Robert. I don't see Gilbert. Yeah,
Gil used to pitch.
yeah.
But really, truly, what Clarence saying, we had a lot of ball players that probably couldn't make professional ball.
Yeah.
Been a professional athlete. But we didn't really have no more than Jan White to support us. Now, they used to have tryouts. I think it was in
Yeah.
Woodbridge.
Somewhere up in D.C.
DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woodbridge used to have tryouts. I know Charles Town went down there.
Well,
Oh,
they,
Charlie. Okay.
they
And
met
what you
us
had-
in.
What you had to do to try, you had to be exceptional.
Right.
Say, if you was the center fielder, and the man hit a ball like the center field, then you almost had to throw that ball perfect to home plate.
Yeah.
For somebody even look at
To
it, they
take
had
a
so
look at
many people there. Or if you were to bat, you almost had to knock the ball out of the ballpark for somebody to notice that, hey, I think this guy got potential to be a ball player.
That's right.
But we didn't really have nobody no more than James White to really look out for it. Now, they had some boys, some white boys here, like the Hanley boys.
Right.
Now, they got a second chance, and some of them went on forward. A couple of them had some boys, George Love. He went to,
Just like, did he go?
yeah, they taught him how to pitch.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he went down there for what?
Rick Slaughter.
Rick Slaughter,
Right.
you know.
That's on something.
We didn't have nobody to say, hey, look at him like they do today, you know.
Okay, so is there anybody in particular amongst the people who played? Is there anybody in particular who had more potential than others, or people who had the pedigree?
Oh yeah.
And who were these people?
That was the one right there. Look at Isaiah.
And of course, for the record, you have to say his name.
Isaiah Conway Ruden Walker Jr. Call him Zeke, Big Zeke.
Yeah.
That was his
He was
nickname.
one of the big
that was
guns.
Yeah, he was a big gun.
And I tell you,
that's
another
He was
thing,
switch hitter, he could pitch, he could catch, he could play in position on the field.
and
actually.
most of those
Yeah.
guys that were tagged as innovative and good, they were motivators.
Yeah.
He would come to you, Zeke would come to you, said, look, man, you're having a bad day. But let's just forget that. Let's get with it. You can do it. Stuff like that. And I mean, they were motivators. That boy, he would be one of the first to put his feet on the field and say, let's get it.
Good old Red Terrell.
So, but I understand you had some other people who were really good all-around athletes who happened to bring their talents to the baseball field. One of them was a fellow by the name of Robert Red Terrell.
Hey,
There he is right there.
And so, tell me about this man.
Well, Red and Clarence played together a lot. They were in the
They're
streets,
young.
in the middle street, and they'd be catching all the time. That's before y'all made team. I think you did a lot of that.
We were just young.
You real young, did But they learned, they crafted down baseball skills there on Mill Street,
Right.
throwing the one and all of that. And they eventually looked like they had good potential. So it was no problem when we called them up. They were in the farm system.
I know
He was a
Carl.
very good ball. He
You
was a
take,
very good athlete.
But they were good. They
Clarence
were good. You could
Humes
tell.
and-
Yeah.
Sight. That's it. Clarence Humes, Sight, Red Turtle, my brother Ronnie.
Ronnie,
Those guys were young. I mean, really young.
Yeah.
We were young.
Yeah.
But I mean, they, when we came around, they just had to get back. That's what we think would,
But see,
because,
the game started for us when we were about 11, I think. 10, 11. We were playing organized 11. Because
Right.
we went down, that's why I said Joe Thurston. He took us down to Flat Run. Out of Flat Run, play these guys down, the grown men, whatever. And we did decent. I remember Metro was down there pitching. And Metro had a mindset that he could strike anybody out.
oh, yeah.
But this guy would be this guy, whoever it was, didn't too many did do that, but this one particularly was hitting Metro every time he got out. Metro, I bet you after the ball, I bet you I could strike you out. And Metro, the game was over, and they got back out there, and Metro got on the mound, he threw, and that boy, Metro would get 2 strikes on him, and then he throw the next pitch, the boy smack it again. And he Metro never did strike that boy out. That's the only man I saw him, but he was determined. He knew he could do it.
But one of the most significant things about all of this is the fact that we were motivated to do our best.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll just say this, I dare say it. Every person is here today. We're gainfully employed. We made big bucks.
Yeah.
We made whatever was available. I worked for the gas company, worked for the post office, Howard Telephone Company, Timber Bank. And I think it all derived out of the fact that we moved forward and we were motivated that we could do anything. We can do it. I mean, I was in the gas company. I said, there's nothing I can do. And I can't do. I was driving backhoes. We would go into an office full of computers. They computerized the place. And that didn't deter us.
No, it didn't.
So well, we can do it. We can do it. I can do it. I can do it. I can do it.
So, are you telling me that one of the tangible benefits out of playing baseball is that you carried these over into your personal life?
This is true.
Yeah, oh yeah.
We had a positive
Work ethic,
attitude about
teamwork,
we can
camaraderie.
That positive attitude came from James Washington.
do. Yeah,
Mhm.
It came from James.
yeah. And
You
even
see the attitude
when
he
I
had.
went into the military, it was the same
Yeah.
way.
See,
I mean, I would go out and after basic training and AIT, I'd come back home, take off the uniform, play ball. It was in our blood.
see, what gave us so much confidence is the fact that we had a little success at a young age.
We were younger. That's right. That's right. Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
here I am, 13 years old, and I'm seeing guys 35,
That's right.
40
Right.
years old.
That's what we're
I got
doing.
a picture against these guys.
That's right.
I survived,
Yeah.
So I figured, hey, I can do anything. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You had,
That instilled the confidence.
that's right.
Right.
See, Barbara John had grown men like Sam Butler,
all big
235 pounds,
Sam.
Sam hit the ball so hard and he couldn't even run first. He did laughing all the way. It was a fun game. It was really fun,
We had a lot of fun.
So one of the things constant thing that keeps coming back here is the youth of the team.
That's where it started.
So now we probably should talk a little bit about the Orange Youngsters or the Young Gnats. I'm not sure what the correct name of the team was, but tell me about those young people when you were younger.
That's when guys like myself, Robert, Shin, them, they were the old guys.
Oh, yeah.
They old. But we had to have a certain amount of them to make the team.
That's right.
Red and myself, we were about like 9 years old.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
10 years old.
Wow.
We were playing.
But I told you that James, Joe Thurston carried us, we were probably 10, 11 then. Matter of fact, we didn't have a uniform. We had pants on, a white T-shirt, and we sold the lettering on our, what do we call that stuff there?
I don't think I was playing.
Yeah, you did what they'll do.
And the reason I brought that up is because in some of the Orange County Review photos, people have different uniforms on.
Yeah, we did.
They had different uniforms on.
Yeah.
Some even had Tigers uniforms on.
That was my dad.
That
That was my dad's uniform.
That was a collector's item.
Yeah,
It would be now.
Yeah.
Nah, you wouldn't want that thing on. That
What
thing
you
was
mean?
all wool.
But we'd take $1 million for it.
Yeah, you got it.
So this man, Mr. Joe Thurston, you say he was the predecessor to Mr. Washington as
Yeah,
the
he was
manager?
cutting hair. He was a barbershop.
Okay. Okay. So we're talking about the previous teams. So you have the Gnats. And from what I understand, the team before that were the Tigers. And I'm going to throw out some names and see if you remember these names. George Ezekiel Sherman, Louis Daniel Flip Robinson, William Bootney Alexander, Clarence Snead,
Yeah.
Harry Humes,
Yeah.
Joe Maddox, Lomas Terrell, Robert Bob Johnson,
Yeah.
Gus Ellis,
Yeah.
Joe Wesley,
Yeah.
Gerald Starks,
Yeah.
Edward Ned Snead,
Yeah.
Linwood Snead,
Hello.
Otis Ashton.
Those were Tigers.
So these are the Tigers.
Those were the Tigers.
And I intentionally mentioned those names because most of those people are not here
Right.
to speak for themselves.
Yeah.
But their legacy remains pure because you still remember them.
Yeah.
And so when you're talking about them today, it'll help the rest of the
Yeah.
public understand that the Tigers were the predecessors to the Nats.
Mhm.
Okay. But who were the managers for those teams, for the Tigers?
Flip Robinson for Tigers. Louis Robinson, you may have on there. Yeah.
So this Tigers team, was that the 50s, the
Yeah.
40s,
Was 50?
Yeah.
Early 50s. Early 50s, yeah.
early 50s?
They had a couple of dragons and the Tigers used to hang up.
Yeah.
Oh, they do bad with this.
Yeah, they set a good example for us.
They did. Uh-huh. Yeah.
So these teams, they played at the horse grounds, you think? At
They
the,
played over there.
Porterfield
Oh,
too.
yeah, that's see, Porterfield had gotten so that the white teams weren't playing anymore over there, so we got to get in then because the park was available.
Can y'all remember the white team that was so good? I know they had some maize boys that were excellent
They were
pitchers.
good, yeah.
And
that was
and I know
before,
that they had a team, and they were. And somebody said that you guys would be very competitive.
Yeah.
Why don't you play them? But they never let us play them. I know why.
Yeah.
They're gonna get beat.
Well, they did the same thing to Washington class of 1959. They was undefeated.
Yeah.
And when the Hanley boys were playing in 1959, they was undefeated for Orange County High.
Oh, they were good now.
And Coach Sizemore, I think he gave the okay to play each other. But our principal, Harvey Fletcher, would not let them play each other. Because I guess the race thing or whatever. But both teams were undefeated that year.
And I bet the
1959.
public probably wanted to see that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They like good baseball.
yeah.
Old school.
Never will forget that.
Okay, well, not to change the subject too much, but we have a segue here because you mentioned something about the high school teams. And part of this thing about you playing baseball as a teenager is that you also still going to school.
Right.
So the George Washington Carver Regional High School in Rapidan is the school that you all went to in high school. So you played on the baseball team there as well as playing on the Gnats at the same time?
Sure.
So
Right.
talk about Carver and the Gnats and baseball during that time.
Well, I remember one thing distinctly. Somebody turned me in because I pitched Sunday over here, and we had a game Tuesday. We going somewhere, and the coach benched me because he heard that I pitched over
Yeah.
here Sunday.
Yeah.
So I remember very distinctly.
Yeah. Got too many hours on it all. Huh?
Yeah, he was looking
They
up for
figured
me.
you were washed up.
Yeah. Somebody turned me in and told me, yeah, I seen him. He was pitching Sunday with the grown up.
What?
That did it.
Yeah.
Put me on the bench.
But you know, the Carver team, Brother Allen, played big school. They played Maggie Walker of Richmond.
Yeah,
Played
Armstrong.
Armstrong of Richmond.
Oh, we beat them down.
Played them. I mean, up my ball.
Yeah.
I mean, they were big time school. School down in Alexander.
Yes,
Slaves.
indeed.
5A school.
Parker Gray.
Parker Gray and all.
Yeah.
I mean, we couldn't beat them playing football, but
We could play
we
baseball.
could
with
beat
them.
them playing baseball.
Burley Bear.
Burley
Yeah,
Bear.
boy,
we,
y'all
couldn't-
there.
Burley'sville. Yep.
we,
And,
we couldn't even score on Burley Bear.
Not football. But
So-
baseball, we deal with them.
So did Carver ever have a banner year in baseball? With
Oh, yeah. we
Yeah,
used to
Mr.
win a lot
Simon
of games
Simon
in
Poole.
baseball.
oh,
Yeah.
Football is where they
Yeah.
got
He
pretty
kicked
good
it.
toward.
Yeah.
They came on
What gave
late.
us an advantage also was the fact that we played in school because
Yeah.
we had opportunities to play there
Yeah.
and then come back here and play too.
Yeah,
That gave us an
a
advantage.
lot of practice. Huh?
We
Yeah.
learned the game so young.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Man didn't have to tell us when to steal. He didn't give us a sign steal. We stole it home.
We
I said, I feel like stealing. That's what I
checked the
did.
pitch out ourselves.
Right.
So if I had to
We are
ask,
bad dudes.
if I had to ask a question about that Carver teams, the Carver teams, what was the number one nemesis or competition for the Carver teams?
Burley,
Would that be Burley High School?
Burley was
Burley,
big and wild.
well, Burley wasn't as good with baseball as
They
they were
were-
with football,
Uh-huh.
but yet they were good competitors.
But
They were
once
just hard to beat.
Yeah. Once you, Burley had a very, very good umpire up there. We used to get actually,
Smith.
yeah, when we used to have him here in Orange when we had real high games, games that was really important.
Yeah,
And he would come, Coach Smith would come down and ump the game for us. But I think he also did some of the Burley's game. He was coach up there too. But we accepted anybody because we could play with anybody then. It didn't matter.
but Burley,
So all we had to do out here, outscore.
they had what is it, Charlotte and Richmond have Armstrong.
Yeah,
They
Maggie
were
Walker.
Maggie
I
Walker.
remember Armstrong, yes.
They
indeed.
were
They were
just tough competitors because they had a lot of numbers there.
I
You know, they had a bigger school than we did.
I'm getting away from baseball. We went down to Maggie Walker one night. Well, I didn't go, but they went to Maggie Walker. Maggie Walker beat Carl 66-6, and Charles Thomas scored a touchdown, and it broke out to half the one from them. That wouldn't get 66-6. They beat us.
Yeah.
And they said we weren't both getting
You were
off.
supposed to go.
Yeah.
Okay, then that's what they call history. That's history now.
Yeah, that is it.
All right, so what we've done so far is that we got some good stories so far. You talked about your heyday, you talked about the Gnats, but we do have some history work to do here. And we want to go back a little bit. So, if I understand the history of the teams in contemporary first team that we know of for this black baseball in Orange. Now, I haven't had too many people be able to tell me about who the players were or where they played. Does anybody know anything about the Black Sox team?
I only know a little bit from what my uncle used to tell me. James Cakey today, he played with them. Brandon Dirks played with them.
Okay, yeah.
His dad pitched for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about the only thing I would know, but just the little stories that they tell.
Clarence Snead.
Yeah, the older
Yeah,
guys
okay.
played for him.
But he played with Tigers too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarence Flip with them.
But they
Gus
also
Ellis.
Gus Ellis.
Yeah, they were Tigers.
Yeah, they were the old
But
time.
it's hard to go back and recall some of the Black
Well, that was
Sox because
before-
we were
Well,
so
I
young.
don't remember that.
We were just
5
bored.
years old.
So were these the games that were played at the Ellis Horse Grounds?
They the ones played that at the horse
Horse
show.
show ground.
Right, right.
Remember, what's the guy named from Barbersville? Whick Whack. You remember they used to call him Whick Whack? Because a lot of guys had nicknames
Race horse.
that we would refer to, and you know, Racehorse or Whick Whack, and you know, we never did get to the people's original name.
No, we didn't.
Everybody had a nickname.
Yeah.
You know, I'm Doc Robinson. That's Butter Ware. That's Chin Ware. I don't know what this thing is. Sight.
Well, that's how small town stuff is. You know, we all have nicknames. But on the screen, you'll see a picture from the Ellis Horse Grounds, and there's a gentleman standing in the foreground. He has a Tigers uniform on, and so that's why I asked about what were the teams and who played where.
That looked like
That
Gus.
looked like Gus Jr. right there.
Yeah.
Like Gus Jr.
Gus Jr.
Now, Gus was the
That's it.
owner of the place.
No,
Yeah.
his people in his family.
His family
Owned that
owned
property,
the
yeah.
property.
It was,
But Gus was first baseman. For
Yeah,
the
sure
Tigers.
was.
Yeah,
actually, that was a horseshoe ground,
yeah.
Yeah.
and they used it for baseball.
Made
Too.
a baseball.
Yeah.
There's a black-owned horse show.
Yeah,
ground?
yeah. It was the Wares, the Ellises.
Well, now it's owned by the Taylors.
Remember Brandon
White people.
Baker?
They bought it.
But it was just right outside past the car wash. You made that right on Monrovia.
I go by
Just
it.
a couple miles,
Route
about a
612?
mile and a half out.
Yeah.
We needed that about a mile.
Okay.
I can remember as a kid getting on the bus up here,
Right.
right across the track to give a ride down too. But I'm ready to
I
go.
don't know
I
you remember.
remember a whole lot of stuff.
I remember Daddy
And-
playing
and
on
good
the,
to-
down. He was playing with the Tigers then, I think, and he carried us down there. Daddy was playing right field, I think, and the opposing player hit the ball. Of course, it wasn't a level part. The
Who is
thing
that?
rolled down the hill. Daddy was standing down the hill, and somebody jacked went down the hill down there and ran into the pond, and they hollered there, "Why didn't you get the ball?" He said, "I didn't see it." He was down the hill so far, and he got
That's Ned, isn't it?
he got so mad that he didn't play anymore. He quit. The next
Yeah.
week, we were selling ice cream. He had the ice cream truck, carried the ice cream truck from the creamery where he was working, and we were selling ice cream.
At the baseball game.
Yeah.
Sound like a
He
good
hurt
place
his
to be.
feelings. Yeah.
That's Bootney, isn't it? Or is that Ned? It looks like Bootney.
And what you find about older pictures is that people tend to always want to figure out who the person was because it's familiar scenes anyway.
Right.
And we may not know who this person is, but if you want to offline, we can spend some time looking at these photos. It'd be nice if we could identify the people in the photos. But
Nah, that's
they belong
he too
to
big
Miss.
for me.
I think it's William Alexander.
They belong to Miss Virginia Washington, Mr. James Washington's wife. Some of these photos, people I've talked to know some of the people in the pictures. Miss Washington knows the individuals in the pictures. She remembers all her pictures. And Ruth and Ned, I wonder who they're talking
Ned.
about. Who is Ruth and Ned?
My mom.
No.
Oh,
You
yeah.
lie.
Yeah. That's all right.
So we're going to make sure you get a copy of this photo, sir.
That's
Yeah,
great.
that's the name of the uniform on there.
That's the old type.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Oh boy, he had a curveball that just wouldn't.
A slow curve, they call it.
That thing would break
Man,
three times.
you could swing twice before the ball got to
Yeah.
the plate.
Yeah, it looked like the ball put the brakes on. Then go the other way.
Yes.
Boy, they used to get so mad at him. Boy.
He was an intimidator. All of those heavy hitters.
He wound up with this big wind up there, and the ball come up the plate 40 miles an hour.
They
They
put
chucking 100 now.
They know he was going to throw.
They couldn't. They couldn't
they
time
put
it.
Gerald Starks up there because he was a power pitcher. They'll put him in there for the first 3 or 4 innings. They'll get your mind psyched out that everything was coming fastball.
Yeah.
Then they put Ned in there to throw that slow curve.
So curve.
Intimidated the heavy hitters with this.
So now you're talking about players, and that's always good to talk about individual players and their little quirks and their strengths and weaknesses. But I want to get straight about the history of the team. So let's say we start with, for our conversation, the Black Sox. And we do know a little something about the Black Sox. So there was a team called the Black Sox. Then there was a team called the Tigers, right? And so after we get past the Tigers, I have the Orange Youngsters. And then I have the Gnats. And I put the Gnats in red, of course. And it's always about the Mighty Gnats. So then I talked about the county teams. And I talked about Barbersville Giants, Grassland Sluggers. And I just have two places, Flat Run and Gordonsville.
Yeah, Gordonsville. That's right.
Did they have a name or just a town team?
Flat
or-
Run Tigers.
Yeah.
Flat Run Tiger.
Okay.
Let's see. What was Gordonsville?
Oh, I forgot.
And Madison. We played
Okay.
Madison.
Madison had a team.
Yeah,
Okay.
Madison.
Yeah.
Matter of
Now
fact,
this
Woodbury
is
had a team.
this is Orange
Yeah.
County.
You remember old
This
Big
is
Johnny
Orange County
Fry?
baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, Madison.
Orange County baseball.
Oh, okay.
Different county.
That's
Yeah.
on. That's on.
And then they also
Look,
talked
we in
about
on,
the places where we played. And one I have is the Ellis Farm and the Horse Show grounds.
Molten Turtle.
Motel.
Molten Turtle.
had things inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Diamond down there.
Motel.
Do drop in the
Do
car.
drop in.
Drop in the.
You got time and money to spend.
Yes.
Do drop in.
You can spend your money like Jack the Bear. Buy your groceries and be treated fair.
So Morton Turrell sponsored a team, and they played at his do drop in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he owned the Drew Drop In,
Right.
but there was a place right around the corner
Okay.
that he owned that played on. It was farmland, actually. Like I said,
Okay.
we this was a sandlot, no, not sandlot. What they call that stuff?
I don't know,
You
backyard.
play on
Out in the field.
yeah, fields. What they
A
call it?
pasture, a cow
Pasture,
field?
yeah,
Cow
cow
field.
field, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and they literally played on those cattle.
Turtle board.
Yeah.
Gordon board.
Brandon Dick said he caught a
Cap
ball
ball
off the cow
back.
back.
Cow back.
I wasn't even playing with blacks out.
Yeah, right. He was playing black.
Yeah.
But
He
down
always told
to-
that story.
That's what my uncle
Yeah.
told me. I mean, my uncle told me that guy hit a ball over Brian 30. He said Brian was so fast,
Yeah.
he run down the hill, down through a branch, and run up the field, and hop up on a cow back and caught it.
That must be true then.
Hey, I wasn't there, so I have to take it.
I don't know. Not for my time.
But I mean, he wasn't the only one that told me this story.
That's right.
Well, so again, we were talking about where they played in cow fields.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they played in some bad
So I
spots.
also have,
Barnstorming, that's what you call it. Barnstorming.
yes,
Yeah, they
I also
played
have that they
bad.
played on Mill Street at the livestock grounds. On
Oh,
Mill
yeah.
Street at the
I
livestock
think that
grounds.
include
was
all
down
of
there-
us.
That was down
Down
there. Yeah, stockyard.
Yeah, that's a practice field there.
Which was nothing
that
but
would made us good.
crush and run with gravel.
Yeah.
Made us good.
Just
Yeah.
play that, but that's the only place we had to play. And really, the place wasn't, what, 60 yards wide?
Yeah, something like that.
But we all played ball. They
Why,
had railroad tracks.
that's the only way why we play when he comes down there and play
Yeah.
with us. He was a
But
bunch
we
of
just
older guys.
played down there.
It was a Sunday afternoon thing.
But, well, we all like Doc, Chin, Butter, myself, we groomed our game and played baseball off of Lanigan's Field.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
We played up
You're
there.
right.
That's where we played
Right.
every day.
That's right.
Can you repeat that? Where is this
No.
place?
No, well, we all groomed, we played as kids, like myself, Red, all these guys. Zeke was right there also. We all played at Lanigan's Field.
Where is this
City-
place?
right there.
City service. City service.
Where the
Right
orange view,
right across from
yeah.
Altman.
Okay,
And that
where,
little
that little
lot.
lot in there.
That little lot in
where the
there.
fuel tanks. That,
Them old big fuel tanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zeke could hit one back in and hit a tank. That was a big time thing, man.
Yeah.
I think it was about like 150 yards.
Yeah.
That's about max.
Yeah,
But
he,
Yeah, that's
he
it
took the
pretty
looked
take out.
big. It looked big to us at that time.
Oh.
When we 8, 9 years old, we think we done jacked one. We hit about 100 feet.
Yeah, Zeke took the take out. Man.
Yeah.
Well, I know, playing down there on
That's
that,
where we all started playing.
playing down there on that little stock market lot, most of the ball players lived on Mill Street or Church Street.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all of us.
Yeah, Middle Church.
In
Mill
Robinson,
Street,
yeah.
right here.
Mill Street
Yeah,
and Church
Robinson
Street.
Street. Yeah.
So I mean, when you talk about going down that little lot playing ball, I mean, we were ready to play.
Yeah, that's every day. That was our playground.
Yeah.
So one of the other places on the list is Prospect Heights Field.
That's years.
Yeah.
later.
Yeah.
Years
That was
later.
on down the
I
road.
think it was
Yeah,
50, 59 or 60, 59,
That
something
was
like
the-
that.
Yeah.
What happened after they graded and
For
after
the
they
new
had
school.
the school was built,
Yeah.
there was a vacant lot. And that place where the kids play right now, oh, they had stones on there that big. I mean, they left the place a mess. And we went up there because we wanted to get away from Hal Noah domination on when we could play and all that.
That's what happened.
So James Washington again would come down and get us out of the pool room, which most of us out there shooting pool and doing whatever, we could do to
off the field.
have fun. So we had to go up there on the Prospect Heights,
Pick up rock.
lay out a ball field, and pick those stones up
Mm-hmm.
and haul them away and make that diamond what it probably is now, Where?
Nice
Yeah.
and
I don't
smooth.
think they've moved it since.
Part of it, yeah.
The way we set it out, it was the way it is now.
Yeah.
They did put up a screen
Green.
so that the ball wouldn't go over in the road.
Yeah.
But we laid that field out, picked up all of those stones, rigged it just as smooth as we could, laid out the baselines and home plate. Dave Washington.
Okay, one last place on this list. It says Skeeter's Place.
Yeah, they used
Y'all
to
played
play-
baseball there before?
Played there. The Orange
Where?
Tigers played there.
What was that?
What's that?
Down in Skeeters.
Oh, yeah,
yeah.
we played.
Oh,
That's right,
yeah,
we played.
yeah.
Yeah,
We sure
played
did.
right there in that field.
And of course, I'm
Well, see,
biased.
that
I
was
wanted to
in the
make sure we get a
50s. That
little
was
That's
history.
all,
history.
but that's true. I mean, I
Bobby,
walked up there.
Bobby, you the only boy played on
I used to play up there every Sunday, man. That was the playground for me on Sunday afternoon growing up there. I just lived right over the hill.
You did it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played at Skeeters.
All
Okay.
your cousin Walter and Harold and all.
The
we
Johnsons.
all was out there. All them Johnson boys was out
Yeah.
there.
So we come to the last segment of this video presentation, and we talked a lot about the Gnats and the history, and we talked about why we're here. One of the main references for this video is the book Sunday Coming, Black Baseball in Virginia, written by Mr. Darrell Howard. Mr. Howard did a great job in getting all the teams together and representing all the different regions of Virginia, and he gave Orange a good bit of credit. But in it, he talks about it from a county standpoint, the Barbersville Giants and the Gordonsville Tigers and the Orange Gnats. But today, our focus is on the Orange team, the town team, the mighty Gnats. And they said that they came to play, that they were young, they were versatile, they were talented, and they had a hell of a manager, some fellow by the name of James Edward Washington. And so we've covered all that ground, but now we want to get back to the players. And so what I like to do, just like we did with the Tigers, I'm going to read some names from the list. And we want to kind of talk about these people, about their baseball playing, about them as your friends and your peers in your neighborhood. Robert Ware. He's the young fellow, but in most of the photos, he's the bad boy.
That boy.
Isaiah Zeke Walker. Robert Red Terrell. Walter Ware. Moses Humes. James Bannister. Charles Robinson. Ronnie Robinson. Clarence Robinson. Robert Bobby Lee Robinson. Gilbert Robinson. Metris Merrill. Warren Johnson. Edward Scott. Roy Long. John Archer. Joe Brown. Roger Jackson. Andrew Johnson. Powhatan Nelson. Warren Nelson. Brantley Durrett. Clarence Snead, affectionately known as Peep Sight. Junior Watkins. Randolph Howard. Howard Ware. So let's talk about these people and your memories of them.
Well, you talk Robert Ware was being the first one. That's Howard and Walter's brother, youngest brother.
Good boy.
He was one of the finest young men you could ever meet, and he very comical. He just like jokes, and he'll pull one on you if he's around you, one way or the other.
Practical
But he was
Joker.
a very nice guy. We got along perfectly well. Went out to dances, and whatever. But all the Ware brothers, I mean, they're typical. They're good guys. You just don't get no better than that. But Robert was one of the good guys. very friendly, and he was a bad boy for the Gnats.
Yeah.
Could have played, but that's the kind of person he was, humble.
Mm.
He'd rather pick up the bat than go out there and play. Wasn't like Hal, want to go out there and win. But he was a humble guy.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, wasn't looking for fame or fortune.
But to know Robert, he was my brother. You, he was comical, very comical person, and anything he did, somebody would be laughing at him or whatever. His mother, right now, every time you mention Robert's name, she started laughing because that's he just anything he would do. I see he even
Yeah,
Robert would even when it was cold, he caught the train. Hobo the train. I'm talking about get on the freight cars and ride to Culpeper to pick up to date his girlfriend. To be. But that's the way he was. He was that kind of guy everybody liked. Yep. He was right talented, but in baseball he didn't get a chance like most of the people around his age because we were playing. We were still hot then. We were a hot commodity. Okay. Any more names?
One thing I took from Robert called my wife, his aunt, to have our first child. Robert came by the house that night and he cracked up with so many jokes. And we had to away from every baby.
Cause our water to break.
Yeah, call him.
Must have been good jokes.
That boy was
Or
something
really
else,
bad
man.
It
ones.
didn't have to be.
He
The way he couldn't talk much,
he was something.
Yeah, he slurs words and things like that, so you would automatically start laughing when he started talking. Yeah.
Well, amongst these other names on here, one of them is a fellow by the name of Isaiah Zeke Walker. We
Yeah.
talked about him before as a great baseball player, but what kind of person was he?
Isaiah was a very, very good friend.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this, Alan. You probably don't remember when you was a baby.
I don't remember.
I used to go to Clarence, Metros. Most all the guys that left, I was still here, and I used to go with Isaiah. We used to go beyond Andy's house at night, and we would watch TV. And you was a little baby, used to be walking around in the room, and I never knew because see, I left Orange when I was 24, and then Coach, you married my niece Nina, and I really didn't realize that. But your mother knew it, and we were real good friends. And Isaiah, and I used to stay at your Aunt Nuna's house, 1 o'clock at night, watching TV
yeah.
with Isaiah.
Okay.
But Isaiah always was a true friend, and he always was there to help you.
Mm-hmm.
Isaiah didn't know how to cuss. Now, we all came off the street.
We
Now,
had to teach him how to
I speak
cuss.
for myself. But Isaiah did not know how to cuss. I'm telling you, and he worked in the pool room, and everybody
Right.
knew what went down in the pool room.
Yes.
But he didn't know how to cuss. I'm
Indeed.
serious. He didn't know how to, he was an honest,
Yes.
good man.
Yes.
And we lost a
We
dear
did.
friend
Mm-hmm.
when we lost him.
Yeah.
And I can remember during his sickness, every weekend, I was up at his house with he and Lauderdale. And we sit down, we talk about the old times, But then he was like the captain of the team.
Yeah, might be general manager,
And
whatever.
he put me in the game. He knew I shouldn't have been in there, but he had me in there anyway. And he said, come on, brother. And I'd be coming to the plate bet, 2 outs. I'm at bet. I look sideline, the boy put the gloves on. They know you're going to strike out.
Yeah.
They ain't giving me no support at all.
That's what I'm saying. Daddy did.
But we miss him today,
Yeah.
really and truly, for what he meant to the town and everything. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Poor boy.
Okay. All right. So also we talked about a fellow by the name of Robert Red Terrell, considered to be one of the best all-around athletes Orange ever produced.
Yeah.
But apparently he was a very good baseball player for the
Mhm.
Gnats. So what can you say about this young fellow?
He picked me.
Red Terrell was He's a good hitter, very good hitter.
But
He had a
yeah,
lot of speed. He could play outfield.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, see, him and I grew up together. We were real tight. And since I pitch, he wants to pitch.
yeah,
So they gave him a shot to pitch. He just come up and start chucking. And after a while, I had to show him how to throw a curveball.
yeah,
And then once he learned that, he'll tell you, I'm better than you.
yeah.
And he was pretty darn good. He was pretty darn good.
Yes.
But he was a good athlete. But you take all those people on that list you got there, though, it was not only a ball team, but pretty much it was a family.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
you take everybody up Church Street, niggas that come to town, that played on that team,
That's right.
you was just part of the family.
But you know, I think that sums it up pretty good too, because everybody on that list
Yeah.
were wrapped in the same blanket of
That's
destiny.
right.
We were wrapped in the same blanket of destiny because we were all in a situation
That's right.
that was similar.
Yep.
We were segregated,
Mm-hmm.
and we knew it. Wasn't accepted in society.
Yeah.
We knew it. We needed one another. And I think that that was the main thing about all the relationships that you got there. We depended on each other.
Well,
And
since you bring it up that way, and since you have so many siblings on this team, what about Mr. Charles Robinson?
Charles was my brother. He was a powerhouse. He
Yeah.
was a strong athlete. Played
Center
football and played center field. Good hitter. Like I said, it was 5 of us on the team at one time. And we didn't compete against one another, but we all had individual talent. Some things that he did real well. I wouldn't even think of doing because Charles was a stick man. He could hit that ball. And if you go out to center field, chances are you're gonna be out.
So
I've seen him fall over the fence to
That's
catch a ball back then.
in your house, is he older, younger?
Older.
Older. So you looked up to your older brother.
Well, we had a lot of fights too.
Like most siblings, right?
Yeah.
Another name. How about a fellow by the name of Roy Long?
Louis. We call
Roy
him
Long was the most determined individual I ever met.
That's exactly
He
right.
will not take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And, he worked
Yeah.
for the post office, and they wouldn't hire him up there. Site broke that into post office. But Roy was a very determined man. They wouldn't hire him, and he said, "I want to work for the post office." And do you not know that he drove all the way his house on Mill Street all the way to Washington, D.C.?
Chevy Chase. Maryland.
Chevy Chase, Maryland. Every day. He
And
told me, he
delivered
said,
the
"You
mail.
know, Doc, I done cleaned out every ditch from here to Maryland." Falling asleep.
But he was also a good ball player. He was really a good ball player.
Oh,
a
excellent
second
ball player.
baseman. A little short guy, but
Yeah.
he could cover the ground.
Oh,
He was low to the ground and he covered it.
We call him
and-
Louis Aparicio.
Yeah, after a great shortstop for the
Shortstop
Yankees,
for the
Louis
Yankees.
Aparicio. But he was just like Metros. He had an attitude like Metros. I'm the best. I'm the greatest.
Yeah.
I think he was arguing with one of the team that played on one of those white teams that were really good. And the man said he was the best second baseman. Roy said, "Nuh-uh." I don't care wherever they met, they argued about who was the best second baseman. And that's the way Roy. Roy, he taught me a lot. Roy,
Fine
he
fellow.
grew up with him. I was next door to him, and for some reason, he took me under his wings and taught me a lot. We did a lot of stuff together there.
Please don't tell him he can't do something.
That's right.
Lord.
Yeah.
So tell me about Roger Jackson. Mr. Roger
Sucking
Jackson.
base.
Rod played right field, I think.
Yeah.
He played sucking base too. Sucking base. Yeah.
Didn't he play? He didn't play. He might play right field.
Yeah.
But see, Roger was one of the guys that had the cars that could carry us to the game too. But Roger started off with Woodbury at St. Madison County. He and Jason Monroe, both of them started there. They came to us and started playing with us. Both of them had cars. So in addition to James Washington carrying us to the game, Washington would drive their cars. Maybe some of the family with them.
Mm-hmm.
Howard Nelson.
Culpepper Man. Yep. After the Cup of the Blue Dragons stopped playing, he and his brother Warren Nelson came over, and James Bannister. These
Yeah.
were pretty good ones, cream of the crop in our era that play well. They play with us and travel with us.
Athlete was a very good athlete.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
just as good in basketball as he was.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Probably better than Clarence in baseball.
He was.
Mhm.
Yeah. I used to be so proud when I go to Burley Bears there, and I get out there, and everybody thought I looked like Paltair. And they said, "Come on, Paltair! It ain't Paltair more." Yeah.
Okay. How about Mr. Junior Watkins?
Vernon came from Jersey, down here from Jersey. He was staying with, yeah,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. But Vernon was a good pitcher. He could play shortstop too.
Yeah.
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 Dropped it sort of like Mitchell Jr. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Fastball. And a good curveball.
And
Good.
Mr. Randolph Howard.
Fergus.
Super. His daddy, he took after his dad. His dad was a good. His dad was a good pitcher.
Played with the old Tigers.
Old Tiger, third baseman, Tigers.
Yeah.
He after he came out of school, he and I
Yeah.
we graduated in the same class.
There he
He
is.
went on to college, but he never did come back here.
Right. I think the
he's
first.
in Roanoke now.
Yeah, the first 2 years he was in college, he did come back and play.
Like Frogger Pass.
No.
No, he's
No.
he's in Roanoke.
No, he's over near
But the
Roanoke, over Salem, Virginia.
Selma, that's right.
He was a perfectionist.
Yeah,
Everything
Left-handed.
he went at,
yeah.
he wanted to do it everything right.
Right.
I know one time he threw a ball way over my head, and I did everything I could to catch it. I was playing first base at the. He came off the mound and put both hands on his hip. Why didn't you catch that ball? I said, I am not a man. I can't work miracles. The ball was way there. You remember that, Hal?
I remember.
But
But that's the way he was.
he
Yeah.
wanted to do everything perfect, and
Right.
he demanded that out of you.
Yeah.
So we had a lot of motivators around, and this wouldn't allow you to, mess up, so to speak. Kept you in line.
Well, he was very smart anyway in school.
Yeah.
I was ahead of him in school, and I remember when the teacher used to step out something, and they had somebody come in the room, and here comes Frogger. I said, "What? An underclassman was sitting here with us,
2 years behind.
Yeah, he was 2 years behind me. He was sitting in
Nice
the class.
guy,
He was that smart. Yeah.
Real nice guy.
And so, of course, this is a segment about teamwork and camaraderie. And if you notice, even though some of these people are deceased, their legacy still lives in the relationships that you guys had.
Yeah.
And it starts on that field. It starts on that field, and you carry it wherever you
Tank.
go. So this is good. So what you're looking at now is a more contemporary picture, even though that one is a few years old, but it's a then and now kind of picture. You find yourselves aging gracefully, but yet you still have these great relationships. Whenever you see each other, I guarantee you the baseball comes up.
All the time. That's what goes to the net.
That's right.
The Gnats. Okay. And so we're going to try to close out here, and we're going to close out with the last segment called the highlights. And one of the things we want to talk about are the greatest games, the greatest plays, the greatest players. And if you can identify your best rival player, that person you remember the most. And so if each of you can take a stab at that, and let's see what comes out.
I know I used to play left field, and we had a guy called Pepper, and he played also with Spurville, Richard Slaughter.
Yes.
Richard Slaughter.
And wasn't but one thing that you could do if you were on defense was get back, because he was the most,
Yeah.
he was the most
Get out the
powerful
park,
hitter
huh?
we've ever run into. Wasn't it, Hal?
Yeah.
I mean, they called him a stick man.
Yeah.
And when he got up to bat, if he made connection, buddy, that ball was going out of the park. Remember that, Hal?
Yeah,
I remember.
We used to play, and first thing we'd do,
The good thing about all the stuff we talking, even about Slaughter and all
we'd
of
pop right up.
is the fact all of us had that Carver connection.
That's right.
That's all right.
That's right.
All of them, regardless of what county,
That's right.
4-county area.
We
that
knew one
baseball
another.
player came from Carl, and he played with Carl.
We knew everybody,
so you
knew
knew
their
everybody.
abilities and
Right.
everything.
And that's one reason why we go to Juneteenth up at Montpelier every year, because we see these guys and we remember, and they are from all around Madison,
Yeah.
Spurville, Greenwood, all over the place. Yeah, Charlottesville. But they were really, really good players. Yes.
We could
But-
look
and
down
we
from,
still-
Hal and I could look down from field, and we can anticipate the weak hitters. That's how we don't have to worry about him.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 We got to start thinking about what we're going to do when the game is over. On a lot of them.
Well, Arthur Sims of Greenwood. He
On the
was
Sim board.
one of the toughest guys I ever
Sims?
played. Yeah.
Sim boy.
Well, they had their father played. The father was probably 20 years old, and he was playing there. He's 50, and he was still hitting the ball. You know. But Arthur was he was not one of Metro's nemesis.
Right.
Metro would get 2 strikes on him. Yeah, he couldn't do much with it. Yeah.
Well, the squeeze-ins was a good competitor, too.
Well,
Charlottesville.
that's where Darryl came from. What the squeeze in?
What was that
Darryl
boy
Howard.
named, Hal, that was so good up there? Squeeze-ins.
Chico.
Chico.
Oh, yeah.
Chico and Pat was
Pat
two,
and Chico.
two-
Yeah, Pat and Chico. Yeah.
two twins.
I thought they were twins. Yeah.
Chico
Then
and Pat.
they had that big dude they called Red, too.
Yeah,
Big
Big
Red.
Red.
You
Yeah.
read.
Big Red from Charlottesville.
Yeah.
I got a chance to get even with all of them.
Sweet.
We played some golf up there in
Oh.
that annual
Oh,
tournament.
okay.
I enjoyed wearing the money.
You play with one of the Sims boys, don't you?
Estes, yeah.
Which
I played
one is
with
that?
Estes.
That's Esther. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Did we
remember
call him
that.
always call him that?
I don't know, the name is Esther. so-
Okay.
You know. But I think one of the greatest competitors we had was Northeast Athletics out of Washington,
Yeah.
out of D.C.
That was good.
They were more professional like people, you know. They
Only
had,
dressed.
and they were mature guys. I mean, they were some
they were
guys in their
18.
40s.
They only dress professional. They can't hear their laws.
Say, we undressed them when they got here.
Right there, Porterfield.
We undressed them when they got here.
They call them country
Yeah.
boys. And
Country
everything.
boys.
Yeah, all they were dressed
Little
beautiful.
young whippersnappers. What is that? Huh? What that got to do
I
with
told them
baseball?
only if the uniform could play. But
Well, they looked the part.
then we went up.
But, you know,
DC
they
and
weren't no
played
chumps
them.
now.
About that?
Yeah, warm out up there.
They weren't
too.
no chumps.
We got a bus up to up there.
Yeah, we warm out in
Took a
DC
bus up
too.
there.
We used
Zeke
to.
knocking balls out there in the street,
Yeah.
hitting people's cars and stuff.
But you
But
know,
Barbersville was one of our greatest rivals, though.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
They'd come down here and
Tough.
we would beat the crap out of them because they weren't that good. They were just good golf.
It was
They had a
stages.
determined mind to beat us
It was stages, but they
because
played.
they thought that we was thinking that we were so
Yeah.
good.
No, we supposed to be the city boys,
What's
they the
that?
country boys.
Well, the
They
thing
don't-
is, half of Bartlesville played or worked down the flooring company.
Or have them work.
And they came up at lunchtime to have the lunch at the pool room.
At the pool
and
room.
what happens? A baseball compensation
You
game.
know that gonna come up.
Oh,
All
my,
the pictures
yes,
on the wall.
yes, yeah. So you definitely had to win, otherwise you'd be chided until we
It was
played
fun.
again.
It
So
was
you
fun.
said these guys are from Barbersville, come to town,
Yeah.
come to James Washington's pool room and talk
Yeah.
trash about baseball.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they worked in Orange. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know, I
And-
think
yeah.
I think
J.E. and all of them grew up with those guys
Yeah.
back in the day. They knew each other well.
Yeah.
They all
Oh, yeah.
were friends.
It was
I give
Yeah.
Mac Fry,
Yeah.
They
I mean
all
Mac
were
Davis, a
Davis.
lot of credit.
Oh yeah.
But he had a short memory. We beat him most of the time.
Well, yeah, he says
We beat him bad. We
He
beat him
says
so
that.
bad
That's
that
right.
sometimes we took them for granted. That's when they beat us.
That's when they sneaked in and beat you.
Oh man,
Yeah.
these chumps, we gonna drink all night and we was gonna beat them all. And then when they beat us, man, it hurt so bad.
Oh, it did.
Oh, man.
I did sleep for
A bunch
days,
of
man.
chumps.
Yes,
So we
indeed.
let them slide. Man. Let them sneak through.
So knowing that that was a long time ago, Mr. Robinson, can you remember your favorite game, your most memorable game that you played in?
Well, there was so many. So many games. Every game, we never did take any games for granted, except Barbersville.
Yeah.
They were such chumps that we stay up all night and drink and run around with the girls, and we knew we were gonna beat them. And that's the only time they ever won. Mike Davis don't remember that.
Yeah.
They were competitive because they wanted revenge from us.
Yeah.
We were so good
Yeah.
that when they won a game from us, they ran it in the ground. You know? But I had some good games and I had some bad ones, but I can't distinguish one from the other, really. But I was pretty proud because I was around people who wouldn't take no for an answer. And that was the greatest motivation I got, from if I go out there and I miss a ball or something, the old guy said, "Hey, you idiot. You had it in your hand. What are you dropping for?" And they didn't forgive you.
They did not. They did.
They did not.
They surely did.
And that caused us to be more competitive.
Exactly.
You get better.
And I had some good games. I had some bad ones. But I don't know what would be the greatest half.
Any game that
Hal and I were close because James kept us on the bench for years.
That's right.
But when he turned us loose, we proved to be just.
They were ready. They were ready. He knew when you were ripe.
That's what I like.
We were ready.
The game that I remember the most, I only hit one home run the whole time I played ball.
Avon.
Playing up in Avon, and the man called me out and said I didn't touch sucking baby.
Yeah, jack the ball out the park.
First time I ever hit a home run.
My
And
Lord.
when they had you team up here 2-3 years ago, that same airport.
He said, "You still out?"
I said, "You remember you called me out in that game?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "And you still out."
I felt sorry for
60
him.
years
I
ago.
said, "Fuck."
That's over 60 years.
Yeah, that's right. That man
He
was
said,
like that.
Harold, he told you before he take it back, he could add more to it.
Lord, we had some good times.
What about you, Brother Snead?
Had some good times, man.
I can't distinguish one game from the next. We gave it all.
Give it all.
Each game. We put everything we had in it.
There's one game that I never forget because I never played in the outfield in my whole life.
Well, Harold and I had that covered.
Yeah, but y'all wasn't there that day. And I'm gonna end up in left field. I have no idea how to judge a ball or what. And J.E. said, "Junior," he always called me Junior. Out there in left field. I said, "Jay, I can't play no field." He said, "I put you out there, didn't I? Get him out there." And when he give you that old hand, like
You got confidence. He had confidence.
he don't turn your back on. He gone.
He had more
So
confidence.
he know right then. He put you out there.
He had more confidence.
So that right there, then I knew. I said, "Well, I must can handle it."
Yeah.
Well, how did the game go?
We won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I made a couple little plays that I was proud of myself.
So the manager.
But
knew
he
something.
built my confidence
Yes,
so
sir.
I could play anyway.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. I remember the tight games we were playing when the team was so competitive that there was no room for mistakes.
No.
And you probably be out there, Harold, do you remember?
Yes.
You and I used to sit on the bench together. And James Washington would come out and say, "Doc, I want you to go out there left field."
You don't want that.
I said, "Man, I don't feel like going."
That got stomach.
You
You can do it. You can do it.
That's right. I wouldn't put you out there, man.
That's right.
That's
He
right.
gave us confidence. Ain't
Well,
nobody did that.
that stuff,
Yeah.
it sticks with you. Remember those things. They
Yes,
gave
we
you the
did.
confidence to grow up to be a man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my hat's off to him.
Yep. God bless those old guys, man.
Yeah.
They did their job.
Well, what about you, Mr. Ware?
Well, my game I liked was the one we played in Ashland, and that was the one that how we referred back to, saying that we were out on the field practicing, and
Oh, yeah.
and the man said it's about time to start the game, and
I remember that.
he said, "Let's put your team." James said, "That is my team,"
That's it.
and so what? We got on and we played and we beat them, but what made it so great, the memories, that I walked across the field and I found a ring, a sterling silver ring with my birthstone on it, and put it on and fit me. And I brought it home there, and Jane took that thing and gave it to somebody else. I was so mad I didn't know what to do. I still think over that. Yes.
Is
If you
this
find me
is
going
this a
around talking to
baseball memory or
myself,
something else?
yeah, if you find me talking to myself, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And what gave my ring away.
So it was almost the greatest day.
It was, yeah, sterling silver ring with a ruby stone in it. July, my month. Dug it. Oh, man, that was,
I don't know. It was I forget the team we were playing. Well, one night over the park, I think I got 2 doubles, a triple,
Oh, that had been a heck
and
of
a
a
single.
yeah, you had
Yeah.
a good game.
You remember that?
Oh,
I think
yeah. You thought
Marlene
him
was
the
over there.
pass too?
Huh?
Bring all the game.
Oh, I showed off on that night.
Okay, so one little small thing before we go, we were talking about the young Gnats and the team as it was in the earlier days. Tell me about how the Gnats got started.
You might get the name.
Well, the name, actually, we started off, with, like I said, Joe Thurston. We didn't have a name. He might call it Town Team or something like that. And then after that, Henry Willis took over after Joe Thurston left. And he decided to organize this team. And he called it
Orange Youngsters.
The Orange Youngsters.
Orange
When
Youngsters.
James Scott gave us that number, the Orange Youngsters. Yeah. And that way we had those pants, I said, overalls and T-shirt, and we bought letters and sewed the letters on the shirt, the youngsters on the shirt. Then after that, Joe put us down because he was cutting hair up here, but he left the barbershop and went somewhere else, so he did. And Henry Willis took us. He took us to he had a Murray's Lunch, he called it. He ran Murray's Lunch on Church Street. And we would have the meetings and there. I know because I was a secretary and I took the medicine, the organization part of that part. I recorded, but he was the pre-runner for James Washington.
But the
He
real
did
name,
sing.
the real name of that team wasn't the Gnats to start with.
It wasn't. That's what
when
I
they
said.
first came, it was the Orange National. That's what it was. It was the National. But
Right, it's abbreviation.
they shortened it up and started calling it the Nats.
The man couldn't get all the letters on the front.
Zeke gave us that.
He said, we're going to break
Too
this
many
thing
letters.
down. He said, too many letters. Yeah, right? So we just shortened it on down to Nats.
Now, when you say Zeke, you mean Zeke
But
Waller?
you know, one individual that played a great part in our success that we've forgotten, and that was Captain Bootney. William Alexander. We call him Bootney. He was one of the first guys around here that made the rank, like officer.
You mean the fellow by the name of William Hamilton Alexander?
William Hamilton Alexander. And I don't know why we hadn't brought him up until now, but he was greatly respected.
So tell me about him. Talk about him a little bit.
He was greatly respected. He was a very intelligent guy. He taught school for a while.
Drove school.
And
he was a captain in the Army.
he always came down to try to find organization among the young people. And he was trying to set the good example. And he did. And he worked pretty diligently with us. And, was always out there with us, playing with us, and up front with us.
Yes, he
was. Leading the pack. And we respected him greatly because he left and he went in the military. He came back captain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were the only person I know, that outranked him. And we were proud of that.
Yep.
Because the opportunities then was nil.
I think he had one of the richest boys down the country.
Yeah, he was down at my house the other day. Bruce.
So to be clear,
Bruce Rich.
Mr. Bootney or William Alexander, he is brothers to Henry Willis Alexander?
That's the one that had the Orange Youngsters.
Okay.
But William, he played with the Tigers before he went into the military. He went in the military, I forgot how many years he stayed, but of course he went to college.
6 years.
And he went in as a second lieutenant.
Virginia State, I think.
Yeah, Virginia State he went there.
Yeah.
Then he came back and taught school. But while he taught school, he rejoined the Gnats. And we used his car for transportation too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was
greatly respected. Greatly respected.
But I mean, he was a motivator too. He was a motivator. I mean, if you knew him or
He always
He
wanted
was
to talk to you.
yeah.
He was military.
Yeah.
Okay, so the reason we got together today is because we were talking about Sunday Coming and Black Baseball in Virginia book, and that book being written by Mr. Darrell Howard. It talked a lot about baseball in Central Virginia, but it tended to underplay the success of the Gnats. And while you got good credit, we want to give you the opportunity to set the record straight.
Well, the
And,
reason why they underplay it because he was from another county.
Mhm.
And he was up there in that area up in there because all those teams up there, we beat handily every time we played.
They will get the white rice shellacking from us, huh?
We had no
We
problem
shellacked them.
beating up on anybody.
Yeah.
And that's what made it fun, you know.
Yeah.
I think what was the year we played? We went 27-3 or something like
it.
that.
Well,
Won 27 games,
Yeah.
only lost 3 games all year, and 2 of those games were by the Spurville Tag.
mhm.
Same team.
They're very competitive.
And so, as they say, for the record, that's the kind of stuff we want to hear. Because what happens is that somebody else is controlling your narrative in this book, but today you need to control your own narrative.
There you
Oh
go.
yeah.
You know,
we-
I've oftentimes thought about that because actually we are having people to come out and recognizing some of the things that we were involved in, and we don't create enough leaders, particularly in this realm. Talent went to waste. Just like I said, Isaiah could have made any kind of professional baseball
he
team.
was a pro.
My brother Charles and a lot of them, those boys, Walter Rucker,
Yeah,
Walter
Walter Rucker.
had the big Walter.
yeah, a lot of those
I
guys.
remember down Skeeters that
You
thing
know,
hit a ball go across the road.
Yes,
Playing squirrel
Out of the
flying.
park, yeah.
those guys were powerhouses,
Yeah.
man. Yeah.
Walter worked on the farm, man.
Yeah,
Did
they
you
were
know
big,
that?
they were big old
Oh,
dudes
yeah.
up there. Yeah, they were big
He
old
worked on the
dudes,
farm.
man. But when he hit it, it was hit.
Yeah, he jacked that ball.
But that's what we need to work on right now.
Yes, sir.
Is people that has the ability and be surprised at what you can do. Put your mind to it.
I'm
Well, that's
glad
true.
these young people here.
And,
to
we
take
need to motivate people.
the
And
initiative to do
that's what I say
something
about
this.
the
That makes
church. If we know God, we know the most powerful source in the universe.
Does God love baseball?
And yet, I mean, when you go out, even play something like playing baseball, that kind of incentive should play into whatever we do. So that should give us a leadership mentality. Guys like yourself, your brother,
Oh, they're doing a great job.
y'all doing a great job. I commend you for it.
Okay, gentlemen. So to close out this last segment, we want to ask you all an individual question about what you believe to be the state of Black players in professional baseball today.
The reason why it's not any more that's out there that is, which is a very few, is because of people like James Washington and those people in the other counties that had all these all black teams and all back in the day. You don't have them people to motivate little kids
That's true.
from little guys to organize them and have little league teams with them and get them out there to play the game. Then they'll grow to love the game. But without that going on, and plus we don't have any adults anymore playing.
That's right.
So they have nothing to look up to.
But what I feel is that the greatest thing that has deterred, got the black boys out of the field, is technology. Whereas I had nothing else to do but play. These people sit behind that phone all
They
day,
play ball on the phone.
and you could talk to them, and they would ignore you because this and that's what they're phone. And I mean, it's not because they're stupid, but they're very intelligent. But this is remote to them. I mean, baseball's too slow.
It's
I'm
high
not
tech.
gonna,
It's the age of high
They're
tech.
like things that's up tempo. But they weren't stupid to play baseball.
Now they'll love to play it on the game on the what's the big game thing that they'll play baseball on that and football and basketball.
Yeah.
But they're not gonna get out and actually
No.
play it too hot outside, man.
Yeah. And they're not as physical,
They're not gonna do it.
We had to walk everywhere we had to go. Nobody had no car.
That's right.
And we'd walk all the way over to Spicer's Mill over there, 3 miles out of town,
Go swim.
just to swim in the river.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Mr. Howard?
I think the game today is too long for the young athletes.
It's slow.
My grandson, his dad, before he passed, he had him out there playing baseball. And I thought he could be a good baseball player. I mean, he would take him to the ballpark, put a big poster up on the fence, draw a big circle in it, and have a whole bag of balls, and tell him just throw to the fence. And he could have been a fairly decent pitcher, but the games that he didn't pitch, they hit him out in right field. And he said, you sit up there all game and don't know ball come, you don't get no action. So I think the game is not fast enough for him. Now you take basketball, where they get a chance to touch the ball every so often. Or play football, you get up there, you hit somebody hit you. But I think the game is slow now. And then some of the parents don't take the initiative to actually take these kids to practice.
That's right.
Now in the cities, they don't have nowhere to play. I think in D.C., the Gnats, I think they furnish some uniform for the ball player, for the kids.
Yes.
But space is one thing, So I don't know. I really don't know.
Because now they have these little travel teams. They
Yeah.
go all over from one state to the next and play stuff. And if your parent don't have the time to really put into this with you,
It costs a lot of money.
then the young kid is not going to want to do anything.
I think
Now, Bird, little boy, is going to be a good ball player. He gets out there and Bird travels with him all over the place.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be all right.
I think what took over baseball too is basketball. I think they're a
That's right.
little more closely related to basketball because it's up tempo.
Right.
You might be in the lead by 6 points. When you go to the bathroom and come back, you're down 6.
That's right.
And they like that up tempo.
Yeah.
The change and the moving forward. But our
Time.
generation and technology,
Well, it's the time.
technology, man, it's the
It's
sign
all
of the time.
about the times. It's,
Yeah.
we had nothing else to do. I look forward to a game on a Saturday night or a Sunday. That's all I had to do. I didn't have nothing else to do.
But
So I bet rocks all week long and keep my little betting skills up, bet rocks all week
that's
long.
what I do.
I learned that from him, man, right there.
From Zeke. Both of us.
yeah.
He mentioned now you used to get up on the
But-
railroad track.
it's
That
surprising
rock
how
every
many
day.
people don't know how to
stick.
throw a
Makes
baseball.
it hard to strike
This
a
day and
man.
time. I mean, they got some of these superstars. I can't name them, but they've had them on the mound to throw the ball at home. They can't throw the ball at home plate. I mean, they don't know how to throw a baseball. It's unbelievable.
It was,
Yeah, if they play another sport, they don't have no inkling of how to throw something.
That's right.
So what you said, we're antique, we're outdated.
No.
I think
Just
it's
Classic.
We're glad.
another thing
classic.
happened on the way here is that the kids, I coached a baseball team, young league. My son was in that league, and I knew the potential he had. He was a very, very good second baseman. They went to high school, and he didn't make the team. The guys that were playing, they weren't as good, but he did. So he gave up on the baseball, and I think they were only taking, I'm sorry to say, maybe 2 or 3 black guys on the team. He was one that happened to be a black guy. He didn't make it. And so I think it just went around that, you wasn't going out for the team because you're not going to make the team. They did play a lot of, a whole lot of those black guys played in the Little League. But that's as far as they went because they didn't get the exposure to high school. Oh, yeah.
But baseball is a team sport.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people today they're more individualized.
Yeah.
And their parents are telling them, look, get your college degree, you don't need nobody. Well, when we were coming up, we needed everybody. So the times have changed. These people now would go out and they go to college and they get a degree. And some of them come from as poor neighborhoods that I came from. But once they get that degree, man, they don't look back. Nobody's putting anything
help.
back into.
That's right.
They don't give back. And that's draining us too as a people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, we want to thank you for your time today. I think we covered a good bit of ground. But one of the primary things that I get out of this is that the mighty Gnats, they did come to play and they came to win.
That's right.
But also, a constant theme throughout this video has been the youthful nature of the team. And so I want to read for you in closing something out of Sunday Coming by Mr. Darrell Howard. It's describing one of your young players. Bobby Slaughter for the Sperryville Tigers. The first time I played against Red Terrell, I was playing right field for the Sperryville. Red came up to bat, and he wasn't a big guy, no way. But Charles Williams was playing center field, and he told me to back up. I took 2 little steps back. He said, this little man isn't going to hit that ball over my head. Ray Jackson was pitching, and Charlie was saying, back up. And I was still saying, I backed up a couple of steps. Ray cocked his arm. Red put one off that brick concession stand behind center field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Robert Red Terrell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important how other people see you.
Mm-hmm.
Not just that you had confidence, but that other people can see the talent. And so that's the mighty Gnats. And so we want to thank you for your time. And this has been very useful for us. And for context, this is part of our series of narratives from back home in Orange, Virginia. My brothers and I have decided that we need to tell our own stories about the town that we grew up in. There's a lot of rich history here, and amongst them are the great baseball players that play for the mighty Gnats. So thank you for your time, and we appreciate it.
Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all, man.
Let me